a few years ago, we teamed up with a great company, Ecologel, and then under Ecologel's label, BioPro had a series of phenomenal fertilizers. So we wanted to put together a program, and as a student of the industry, which we all are, we continue to strive to find products and solutions to help with urban forestry and arboriculture. So we put together this little thing. We were looking at some of the compounds that were being used in turf. And if you think about the definition of a tree, a long-lived perennial with a woody stem, a lot of the compounds transferred into arboriculture extremely well. So we started messing around with it, doing applications in the fields and test sites, and we're very excited with the response. So as we look at a Prescriptive Fertilization and Soil Enhancement program, I think we more and more in the field of arboriculture need to look at soils. I'm an old school arborist, going up on almost 40 years in the tree care business, and I said it earlier, always being a student of the industry. When I first got into it, I never really paid as much attention to the value of the soil as I am now. So it's pretty exciting for me. Back in the day, I played around a little bit, compost teas and stuff like that to get the life back in the soil. So this is pretty exciting. So we're going to roll on. I'm going to do a little brief about the program, and then I'm going to throw it over to Kevin. Kevin's our Midwest rep out of Ohio. And just so you know, I am in Michigan right now. I'm not floating around anywhere too exciting. But Kevin with Arborjet is going to get a little bit more into explaining each component that we put together for you that we thought was amazing and why. And we also have Jim Spindler, who is the agronomist who helped develop most of the products that were here. So we can get near the end some pretty technical questions answered, but if we can't answer them today, you will have an opportunity to jot down our contact information at the end. So off you go. And again, we'll have Zach, Kevin, Jim, and myself available, and we'll try to stay caught up with questions on the chat line if we can. But if not, believe me, if we can't get to them today, like I said, I'm hoping to spend a half hour, 40 minutes max, so we don't take too much of your valuable time, but just enough to get you excited like we are, and then reach out to your tech manager to get more information. Okay, Arbor Rx is designed for tree and shrub nutrition, soil enhancement, rooting and plant establishment, and soil moisture management. If you think about those three items, they're all things that we could, to some degree, control within the soil, which is pretty interesting if you think about what soil needs. Playing around with compost teas and entering microbiology back in the soil. It was pretty amazing that recently, as we're looking more and more into soils and trees, I just read a great article in the Arborist News from ISA that stated that 80% of tree problems are based soil-related problems. So there's even a lot more science altogether on what we're doing. Designed to maximize tree and shrub health. The combination, I think, one of the most exciting parts about this is that these products that we put together can be combined. There are water-soluble compounds that can be added together and to create your own specific type of fertilizer to address the need that you need in your specific region and plant healthcare program. They can be standalone products or they can be combined, which is pretty amazing to give you control of exactly what you want to do on the customer's property. Again, liquid solutions do not require mechanical agitation. That's another pretty big important factor in a plant healthcare program. Being that I've fertilized a lot of trees through the years, a lot of fertilizers that have to be either jet agitated or paddle agitated to stay in solution a lot of those compounds are extremely tough on the application equipment themselves. So this is another benefit of the Arbor Rx programs, the compounds that we're using. Flexible rates and for easy job estimation. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out rates and estimation utilizing both ANSI standards and the ISA best management practices. So we tried to follow along as close as we can, almost to the T, is what's being recommended in the ANSI standards and BMPs. I'm going to go real quickly over these application instructions. This is kind of our mock. We created a tear-off prescription pad, which is actually pretty just like you go to the doctor for the project. So we started off with an Arborplex, which was a phenomenal fertilizer that we had that was neck and neck with a lot of the other fertilizers that are being used in the field of arboriculture. So Kevin will get into each of these products a little bit more, but I wanted to go over what we put together, these 7 products for the Arbor Rx program. Starting off with the base would be the Arborplex, which is a 14-4-5 with a 50% slow release nitrogen. Next, Iron Plus. So depending on exactly what you're trying to look at or what your situation is, you could add more iron. Another one of the compounds that I'm as excited about and I've used a lot of is the BioMP, which is, if you're looking into some of the compost and the biology, this is a food source for microbiology, bioactivity. Enviroplex, humic acids, another big compound, a lot of research, a lot of benefits of that in the soil. Nutriroot is a great product that we put together. It's just incredible what it can do for planting and establishment of plants, which has the micronutrients, seaweed extract, humic acid, and surfactants, humectants in the product already. Cytogrow for a root hormone. Cytogrow for construction damage, problem soils, helping out to stimulate more root mass. And then right down to Hydrotane. Hydrotane, again, is a compound that's pretty well known in turf and not as much known in the field of arboriculture and urban forestry. This is a product that I've got a good feeling that we're going to be seeing a lot more use of during establishment and during drought periods in certain areas within the country. Again, there's a couple other products that I'm going to pass over to Kevin in the next slide, and he's going to have to let me know when to switch because it's our first time playing with this program. So, Kevin, are you ready?
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you for the introduction. So we understood that, and I kind of want to go over the history of the program a little bit again. Again, this was Joe and I kind of talking through a long list of products, and that's the way the BioPro line has been for a long time. It's been a grouping of products. So we kind of picked out the best of the best and what really made the most sense in terms of managing plant health care for trees. And following that, we said, well, what are we going to name this group of products? What are we going to do with these? And we went back and forth between a bunch of different names and finally landed on Arbor Rx, which is basically the whole premise of this program. The idea here is to be able to put together a group of products as a prescriptive program to whatever ails your trees, whether it's poor soils, poor tree performance, water management, all that sort of thing. And that's kind of why this Arbor Rx name has stuck. So it's really, again, designed to be a prescription type program. And the reason that we went this route as well is because, my philosophy has always been that you could put 100 arborists into a room and you're going to get 100 different philosophies on what it is that they feel like trees need for fertility. So being that this program has several different components, we feel like we're touching on all those things that are generally known and generally expected to be used in the field of arboriculture to manage tree health. Again, as Joe mentioned, it's a very flexible program, and that's what you're seeing right here is we have multiple different application methods. For root zone injection, we have calculations based on canopy area, so there's a square foot application method, and then there's also a DBH method, which I presume will be likely used by a lot more people because it would be easiest just to come up on a property and measure all the DBH of the trees that you need and then be able to create your estimate right from there. So we knew that may be the easier route to take. Several of these products also have foliar labels, so there is some opportunity for some over-the-top or foliar applications. But again, it's very flexible in terms of how we can apply it and the manner in which we do so. As a matter of fact, I was out looking at a couple properties today, and every plant that we saw out there, everything from hedgerows of boxwood to singular boxwoods to taxus to arborvitae, right on through the crabapple trees and whatnot. The program we were looking at would be applicable to all of those. So again, we do have sliding rates for different size trees, and that's also something that your regional tech manager can help you work through that. So on to the next slide, Joe. We put together a recommendation chart that is part of this program that basically gives you a really good feel as to when you would prescribe certain products. Arborplex, in and of itself, having the micronutrients and things that come encapsulated into that product, really do a good job of managing many different situations. But some of these definitely are much more specialized, and I'll get into some more of the details of that as we get into a product by product breakdown. But as you can see, there are definitely different situations where certain products would be favored over other products. And that also becomes part of the program approach to it. So, simply some guys could go out on a 3-month basis and do Arborplex root zone injections, and that can make up their entire program. And that's a great product to do that with, having that long-term nitrogen source along with the micronutrients. So that could be a very strong product for that. But then again, there are going to be other situations, whether you're dealing with sand-based systems or heavy clay or areas where we're dealing with abiotic factors, that something like a water management technology would be much more helpful. Again, we have a whole line of products that are going to handle all these situations. Onward, Joe. So as Joe mentioned, Arborplex is designed to be the backbone or the building block of this entire program. And again, there are going to be arborists out there that will argue the fact that we use NPK products. But we've got great results that we'll show you here at the end of this presentation of what we've done with the Arborplex. Again, it is a 50% slow release nitrogen, or as the new standards are changing, 7% of the total nitrogen is considered slow release. And it really kind of helped to feed over time so that we're not getting some of that root shoot imbalance that you might get from some of the solubles that are out there. And Arborplex in and of itself was kind of designed with tree care in mind. Most of the BioPro line of fertilizers was designed for turf, but this one was kind of singled out as a material that would really help with tree development. One of the really interesting things about Arborplex is we use very, very high quality nutrient sources, and particularly in terms of the potassium source. So we use potassium hydroxide, which has a very low salt index. Things like muriate of potash tend to be very high in salt content, which could lead to some burn situations. So the whole idea of using something like Arborplex is that we designed it for the fact that we would, it's for maximum tree safety. We're not going to see as much any burn from it. It's also formulated with trace amounts of iron and manganese for those plants that are chronically chlorotic, so it can help boost those situations and get some greening out of those trees throughout the season, or even out of those shrubs. And also it's formulated with zinc, which will help in improve leaf formation. So this is what kind of sets this product apart from a lot of the other 50% slow release turf fertilizers that are out there. They don't have these micronutrients that can be commonly deficient in trees. The other thing that really sets this product apart is that it's been tested with all of our other components of the Arbor Rx program. So it is tank mix compatible with all those products. And that's, obviously a concern. We don't want to be putting products in there that aren't tank mix compatible and we see some fallout or anything else like that. All of the nutrients in Arborplex are fully chelated, so they stay available in the soil solution much longer, and there's less of that material being lost to leaching and polluting water sources and things like that. And again, like I mentioned earlier, there are foliar and soil feed applications for Arborplex. So it's really going to help with all those nutrient deficiencies, the loss of vigor when plants aren't getting enough of the nutrients, and depleted soils. And you really, if you look at managing plant health care as a whole, the more that we can manage that plant health care, the more that we can deal with diseases and insects and such. And that's, we keep these trees stronger so they're not nearly as susceptible as they would normally be. All right, Joe, next one. So BioMP has been a product that, and if you don't know me, I've always been, you have to prove it to me before I'm going to believe it type situation. And BioMP was not one that several years ago I embraced. And the reason for that is I've been in the industry for a very, very long time, 12 of those years in golf. And we would get a lot of superintendents that would put molasses into the spray tank, or they would put Coke syrup into the spray tank. And I just never felt that had much merit. But based on some of the testing that we've seen with BioMP, I'm now a believer. We've seen just much better growth, much better color, and much better root activity on a lot of these plants. But this, along with Cytogrow, really focuses in on the build it, they will come type scenario. So BioMP and Cytogrow are really designed for building soil health. So we're feeding more of the soil rather than the tree, even though that we do have some nutrients here. The molasses that's in the formulation is designed to be a readily available carbohydrate for microbial activity. And that way we can develop more of a microbial situation for the roots to grow in order to improve plant health care. It's also going to help with CEC, so sand-based systems. We're getting some of this material in there to improve nutrient holding capacity as well as water holding capacity. Next slide there, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. All right, Enviroplex. And humic acids have been a very, very hot topic throughout the plant healthcare industry for quite some time now. Enviroplex is one of those that just doesn't seem to get as much play, just because a lot of times you will find some of these humic acids supplemented in other products. But this is a very, very highly concentrated humic acid supplement. And basically what humic acids are designed to do is they act like a network that help hold those nutrient ions in the soil solution longer so that they are available for the plant. Otherwise, these ions can form bonds with other materials, and either being leaks through the soil or become unavailable for the plant. So it's a very, very important tool in maintaining all the products that you're putting into the soil and keeping them available for the plant. Enviroplex also acts as a liquid carbon source, and carbon is definitely another big thing that we're seeing in this industry right now that's improving overall plant health care. So Enviroplex is also going to help with soil compaction because humic acids tend to help with more of the crumbing effect of soil, and that when you start relieving that compaction, that also opens the door for more airflow, more water flow, and better spaces for the roots to grow in. So it's really, again, designed to help with more of the soil health and help with root development. That was all the notes I had for there. But one of the other side effects of humic and fulvic acids is they also will mimic they will improve root growth. All right, next one. So Iron Plus was something we decided to add into this program as kind of an afterthought. It didn't make the cut the first time around, but there are definitely parts of the country where we have several different species of trees that become chlorotic and they're chronically chlorotic. This is a great in-season application because sometimes injecting with iron during the season can be, we can see a little bit of damage or see some leaf scorch. So this is a great product to put in those mid-season applications. I don't think there's much that I need to tell you about iron type products. because we all know that they will help improve chlorophyll production and things of that nature. So it's a standard iron product except for one caveat. We have fortified this product with Cextra, which is a seaweed extract. And I'll get into some more of that information later, but that's how this product is really set apart. All right, what's our next one, Joe? So Nutriroot has kind of an interesting history, and this goes back several years ago when Ecologel and Arborjet first started working together. Arborjet thought that some of the stuff that we were doing from a water management and plant healthcare aspect really made sense and would play very well in the tree care industry. So I think Joe could probably tell you a little bit more about the history of Nutriroot, but Nutriroot encapsulates several of the different technologies that we're going to talk about following this. So the seaweed extracts come from the Cytogrow material. The surfactants and the hygroscopic humectants come from the Hydrotane material, which I'll talk about a little bit more. But this is a very easy to use liquid product. It has a little bit of everything that the plant is going to need for establishment. So it's been phenomenal as far as our at the time of planting material, as well as very difficult stress periods. We've got a lot of guys that build this in with their program just to give trees and shrubs a little bit more of a kick, particularly when we're getting into stress periods. So this product is basically a combination of several different aspects of the Arbor Rx program in and of itself, and that's why this whole program made more sense. All right, what do we have next, Joe? So Hydrotane is something that I've worked with for about 10 years now, and this also was I had to see it in order to believe it type product. It is a combination of hygroscopic and humectant compounds that are designed to allow plants to survive almost twice as long without water before we start seeing the effects of drought stress. And by doing that, we can reduce irrigation requirements by 30 to 50% for 3 months. And that's why this product also made so much sense as a midsummer application. We've got a lot of guys that will do this as a summer application because, you know, there's plenty of trees that are planted along street sides or parking lots and things like that that really succumb to drought stress. So this is something that will be put into the soil and would actually adhere to the roots of plants. And from there, it attracts water vapor that's in the soil profile before that's lost to evaporation. And it condenses it back into plant usable droplets of water. So even if we feel like we're watering plants on a regular basis or as they need it, you will see periods in the afternoon where wind and sun and things like that deplete the soil of usable moisture. Even though there's water vapor there, that's not available to the plant. That's where Hydrotane really shines. It's able to grab that water vapor before it's lost and help rehydrate that plant. It's been used for over 20, maybe 25 years in the turf industry, everything from golf courses to lawns to tree and shrub applications, as well as some use in agriculture. So it really is very versatile in terms of managing moisture and the applications that we can use it for. We also have several guys that will use this in a late season root zone application for winter desiccation. So there's a lot of plants in landscapes that are sensitive to wind and clearly don't get very much water throughout the winter. So this does a really nice job of helping to manage some of that winter desiccation. All right, next slide, sir.
Yeah, another thing about this product, Kevin, is the history of it, where it was developed in Australia. It's pretty exciting to see what happened when this product was being developed and how it inadvertently helped plants and how it's made out of food grade products and how it kind of slowly transversed into the green industry.
Absolutely. So Cytogrow has also been a very key product for the Ecologel Solutions brand. We've been using Cytogrow for several years on turf, and it also has an agricultural label. But we saw that this made so much sense in helping trees because, again, root development is what's key. So Cytogrow is an EPA registered hormone biostimulant, and what that means is what we say in the label is guaranteed to be in the bottle. And not that I'm going to slam any other product that's on the market, but you know, if it's not a registered biostimulant, it's kind of the wild, wild west. We're not 100% sure what's in there. So we are making very, very strong guarantees, and you know, you can get consistent performance out of the product. What seaweed extracts are known for are their cytokinins and auxins, which are plant hormones that help develop root mass. So this is really to help build those fine fibers of root mass on the tree to help it take in more nutrients and more water and things of that nature. Now, many biostimulants also come with a hormone known as gibberellic acid. And gibberellic acid is the plant hormone that tells it to grow upward. So it tells the plant to create more top growth. Cytogrow is formulated with materials that have extremely low levels of gibberellic acid, so it's not pushing more top growth. The other part where that becomes really interesting is when you use this in combination with growth regulators. So our growth regulator called Shortstop is paclobutrazol, and what that growth regulator does is it inhibits the synthesis of gibberellic acid. So it stops that production, or that synthesis of the gibberellic acid to push top growth and redirects the energy down to root growth. So many of these biostimulants have gibberellic acid in them. So you get to the point where one or the other is not operating as proficiently as it can. Some of the other side benefits of something like Cytogrow would be stress tolerance and salinity tolerance. Again, this is just one of those materials that's going to improve overall plant health care by managing a lot of those situations. You know, I could go on and on literally for a whole webinar on Cytogrow, but again, I don't want to take up all your time, but we can certainly talk about this product more with questions. Next one, sir. All right, Cextra. So Cextra is the sister product to Cytogrow. It's a very high quality cold water kelp extract. It's also North American sourced. So there are a lot of kelp extracts that are not sourced from this area. So we know what we're getting. We also understand that cold water kelp extracts are more highly active. So we're really getting the most bang for our buck out of this product. And again, the seaweed extracts are just really going to encourage plant development and vitality. Also, they will help safeguard against some of those abiotic stress factors that we don't have pesticides to manage. And again, you're seeing this kind of as a theme where we have plenty of insecticides and fungicides to deal with insect issues and disease issues. We really don't have good products to manage abiotic factors, all those non-living factors, or the drought stress and the wind and sunlight. And that's why this program, again, makes sense, is helping to build that root system and supplementing the plant with these materials that are going to be highly active on managing those abiotic stresses. Again, Cextra is that sister product to Cytogrow. It is primarily available in California, Hawaii, Illinois, and New York, whereas Cytogrow is available in all the other 46 states, or 45. I'm not sure if it's available in Alaska, but again, that's covering most of the U.S. because of some EPA or some state regulations. All right, sir, onward.
Of course.
And I'll let you get into more of the research. I'll jump in where I feel like I have something, but I think if you want to cover this part, because I think you've seen more of this firsthand than I have.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing having this opportunity to mess around with these compounds as we're slowly putting together. Again, Arbor Rx is a year plus out of development, and we've been together for a couple of years trying to look at compounds to bring to the field of arboriculture. And we started treating some of the plants with Arborplex. And as you can see, I know it's a picture. It's you can tell the difference in the growth. It's obvious. But again, as an arborist like Kevin and myself, you have to put your hands on it to see it. So you can see the difference between the Arborplex on the left and the other plant, the picture on the right. not only are they larger and better in color, but the cuticle was harder. So the overall health of that foliage on that plant was amazing. Here's a couple more pictures, some more in our, some dogwood plants or trees that were in our nursery. Side by side, everything else is the exact same. The difference was Arborplex and Mother Nature. So you kind of see what we did. There was a competitor product. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but you can see the difference between the Arborplex and the product that we compared it to. So again, a lot of the compounds that we're introducing today is fairly new, other than the Arborplex, into the field of arboriculture. We really believe that healthy soil, healthy microbiology population, in turns into healthy trees. Healthy trees resist insects and disease better. Part of my territory, if you look at this map, is Canada. And as we look, more and more compounds are going to be banned, and we're going to be able to use less and less. So this kind of fits hand in hand with the direction of the industry. So here's a list of, depending on where you're located, on the left is all your Arborjet reps, and on our horticultural side, we have a couple other reps that can, so we can double up on certain areas. If you can't get hold of one of us, you can definitely get hold of another. The only thing I don't have on here is the 1-800 number, but if you get online and you kind of look around, you can be sure to find where Arborjet is at. Here's a little bit, since we do have our phone numbers on there, again, Kevin's information is on the left. I'm on the right. And our number's on there, and our cell phone numbers. We're here to help. We're here to help you guys be successful. We're very excited and thrilled to have an opportunity to bring these products to the field and help you guys be successful. Kevin, anything else you want to say before we wrap up? Yeah,
I just wanted to conclude with looking at how we develop programs with this. And again, I was on property with an applicator today, and I basically put together a bulletproof program for him. But, you know, in its most simplistic form, like I said, guys can go out with the Arborplex on every 3-month basis. And that's kind of the way this program was developed, was to be, you know, 3 to 4 times a year. He had several plants that were struggling, so we looked at, you know, why are they struggling? So I said, well, let's start with boosting them in the spring with Arborplex. Application number 2, we go to Hydrotane, because at that point in the year we're into that drought stress period. And then application number 3, we would go with a combination of Cytogrow and BioMP. So there's multiple different ways of looking at this, and that's something that we can help you do is develop a program as well. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. We're super, super excited about this. We feel like the sky is the limit here. And again, we'd be more than happy to help put together programs for you and help you build your business as well. It's just another line of business that can drive your bottom line. Thanks again. Awesome. Zach, you still there, buddy?
I haven't left you, Joe. I'll never leave you.
You want to wrap things up, Zach? I'm not sure if we got Jim on board. If Jim wanted to say hi real quick. If not, no big deal. Again, we're excited about the product that Jim helped develop. But it's pretty awesome. So is Jim there?
I know. I can see Jim signed on. We do have a few questions in the meantime. First one that came in is Arborplex, the 1445. Is that something you could use in both the fall and the spring?
My answer to that, you can use it every application if that's what you feel that the plant needs. Absolutely. I mean, there's a range of rates on there, so we don't have to go in at a higher level of nitrogen. You can go in at a much lower level and just kind of help nurse the plant along throughout that period.
Great. I guess I'll ask a follow-up question just for a little bit of clarity. So, Kevin, you had mentioned that part of that 14% nitrogen is slow release. How long, give or take, day-wise, would that slow release last?
You know, that there's a lot of variables to come into play with that, whether it's soil moisture, whether it's microbial activity and things like that in the soil. I would expect that nitrogen to be available for 4 to 6 weeks.
Excellent.
In most cases.
Excellent. We did have another question about if there are any organic products that are possible in here. I was able to take care of that and mention that Nutriroot, and actually I forgot to put this in there, Tom, that Hydrotane they're both considered USDA bio-preferred, which means they have a solid nutrient, a bio source is the building block of it. So there are some synthetic products added into it, but the basis is basically derived from plants. Along with that, we are working on some stuff to get more fertilizer type products into that organic market. Let's see, I think there was one more question that I knew of, and there are a couple more messages that came in. Let's see, scrolling back down, here we go. Is there an overlapping program to the Arbor Rx program that works in concert with Arborjet trunk injections? You know, for example, working with Minjet iron.
I would say absolutely. I mean, generally guys are injecting iron spring and fall, and certainly anytime in the spring we can get started with these products. But again, it would depend on what you felt that plant needed. And I noticed there's another question you're talking about tissue samples, and certainly prior to setting up this program, you could do tissue as well as soil samples. But yeah, you could easily time that with most of those injections.
I would just be, again, being a trunk injected probably millions of trees, you still always have to be concerned of the hardening off of the trees, leaves, the foliage before doing a stem injection. So if your deeper fertilization program starts off in April or May, generally we don't stem inject an oak or a maple until the cuticles harden, which is into June. So you have to be very careful not to stem inject too early, because you could, and I have defoliate trees.
Well, Joe, we all live, we all learn.
Well, they all came back. It's not like it killed them. It just scared. You might scare a homeowner by blowing leaves off a tree.
Let's see. So what are long-term effects on soil structure from Hydrotane? How long would it take for the compound to break down? Kevin, I think you could speak almost ad nauseum to this.
Yeah, this is definitely a question I get on a regular basis. The Hydrotane molecule is slowly broken down over a period of about 3 months. It's broken down by microbial activity, so it's not a water or hydrolysis situation, or is it photodegraded. As far as how it would affect soil structure, there's nothing that I've ever seen that it would adversely affect soil structure. Matter of fact, if the plant is growing better, I could potentially believe that extended root activity could potentially help break up that soil a little bit. But there's not going to be any type of long-term or any type of effect on soil structure.
Awesome. Next one, I think I could probably speak more too, because I actually am here in the office. Is there any work on developing Mycorrhizae products? It's always something that we kick around, and our director of research and development loves Mycorrhizae. The problem is keeping it usable in solution during shipping, and how long is its shelf life. So right now we don't really have anything in there, but we never forget about it. Brian was asking what kind of application is used for all these products. Are they all soil injections?
Injections or drench.
Yeah, and several of these have a foliar label as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like, it sounds like a soil drench, soil injection, or also a foliar spray can be used with those. And then The last question in here right now is, can systemic insecticides be added into a tank mix along with these products?
Great question.
So, yeah, no, it's an absolutely great question. I've had over the last 10 years, people apply systemics with Hydrotane on a very, very routine basis. And what happens is you actually get more efficiency out of that product because the Hydrotane keeps that plant from going in and out of drought cycles. And it also attracts that solubilized nutrient or systemic that's in the soil. It will attract it to the plant for improved uptake. So absolutely, in the case of Hydrotane, is it going to amplify the ability of that product to protect the plant.
Excellent. Thanks, Kevin. I would also add to that, that if you are unsure, make sure you do a jar test. You know, grab a separate container and add a bit of your actives into it just to make sure that nothing funny happens. I know I've clogged a spray machine once or twice from not having done a jar test beforehand.
Sweet. Did you happen to find Jim?
Jim, did you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. I'm here. Nice to have everyone on, and we hope everyone enjoys using these products. I'll be available to answer questions as we go on.
Awesome. Thanks, Jim.
Right. Joe, Kevin, Jim, thank you guys for putting together this presentation and your time this afternoon. I know everyone's got a lot going on. To all the attendees, thank you for taking 45 minutes to an hour out of your day to come here and learn about the Arbor Rx program. Again, one last time, for anyone that wants some ISA credit, please put your number in there if you haven't done it already. We will also, this is recorded, so we will post this probably at some point tomorrow when the download is available. And also the slides can be available by request. Oh, one more thing. You may cover this. How do you tackle a high soil pH? Anything, Kevin, which out of these products do you think would be best for a high pH?
I think that's one of the areas that it was not addressed here so much. High pH soils, obviously we're looking at micronutrient deficiencies, but we don't have anything here that's going to actively correct soil pH issues.
But that is on our radar because it comes up. We're actually in quite a bit of deliberation, even recently in our strategic planning. Is there a current way or something new with all the technology? Is there a better way other than traditional to change pH? I think it came up with Jim a few times also, with Jim being an agronomics and a soil guy. There's got to be a better way to do it.
I agree.
Typically, we use what the problem with high pHs are. A lot of new micronutrients are not available. So by chelating a lot of the micronutrients we're using, they're going into the soil. They stay available longer and are more available to the plant at high pHs. Traditionally, most treatments involve sulfur compounds that convert to sulfuric acid in the soil and help lower pH. But that takes a long time and is very difficult to do.
Solid information, Jim. All right.